Hello everyone, I'm Serena Fazan of the Serena Fazan Network, brought to you by Red House Streaming. We are committed to helping those impacted by Hurricane Ian. You can see the unprecedented damage caused after Ian made landfall just short of a Category 5 storm. So many lost their lives. Thousands are without homes as a massive recovery mission is underway. We are teaming up with the Red Cross. Please join us in this rebuilding effort. It's as simple as scanning the QR code or following the link below. Stay safe.
Love in America is brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source.
This month's Gems with Them birthstones make perfect gifts.
October has two spectacular birthstones, opal and tourmaline. Both have endless color combinations and beautiful coloring characteristics.
To learn more, visit our website or come see us at the Gold and Diamond Source.
Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited. We are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Serena Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Love in America. Truly my favorite show, a show where we talk about love stories and how people ended up together. And in the studio today, Latarsha and Kenneth Haughton. And it's very easy to remember the Haughton because you guys are hot. Sorry. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Married for 5 years now.
In December.
In December, but you've known each other for 30.
Longer than 30.
Longer than 30. Well, I really appreciate you both coming on the show, and I want the audience to know that this is a very emotional show. The first half, we're talking about how you guys knew each other and what brought you together. So, Latarsha, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. Kenneth and I were high school sweethearts. He lived directly across the street from me and my dad. And I would go and watch him play basketball because he was a really good basketball player. He used to give me his sweaty hoodies. So he used to play it with him and then put them on and have all his sweat on it and then throw it at me and say, here, you can wear my sweatshirt, my hoodie.
But you didn't care, right?
I did not. I would sleep with it at night.
Oh, you're kidding. So Kenneth, let's go to you now. And how old were you at this time, would you say?
About 14.
About 14.
15. How,
14.
About 14.
So did you notice her right away as well? Clearly you gave her your sweaty,
Yes,
sweatshirt.
my sweaty sweatshirt. Yes, I did. And I thought she was cute. And she was really nice and quiet, real sweet.
But your friendship really, built because you were going through quite a bit, which you have actually shared publicly.
Yes. You said, do I want to share it publicly?
Yes.
Sure. At that time, I was going through sexual abuse by my biological father.
And I want to take just one moment for people to absorb that. Your biological father.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. For any type of sexual abuse, how awful, but so sorry. So you're only 14 years old.
Yes.
And you're going through that.
Yes.
And then what happened?
I would not talk about it. I would just run outside and smile. I think that Kenneth was like a safe place for me. I would never talk to him about it, but it was times that I would call his phone and say, hey, come knock on my door and see if I can come out, because I just wanted to get out the house and get away from what was going on in my house. And he would come and knock on the door, and I'm gonna leave you to say how you felt when you would knock on my door.
Well, let me clarify. We didn't have cell phones back then, so it was a house phone, long cord. So she would call the house phone, and my mom would answer it usually, and she would ask for me and ask me to come knock on the door so I could, I guess in a sense, rescue her from what was going on. I had no idea. So I go knock on the door, and Dad would just give me a strange look.
Oh,
it was
my gosh.
intimidating. I didn't know. I thought he was just being a father, trying to scare me off. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's just hitting me that you were going through that horrible thing, and you would call him in hopes for it to stop.
Yeah.
And Kenneth, you had no idea.
No.
So what happened next
So
through your high school journey?
Through our high school journey, we dated for, was it 2 years?
2 years.
Yeah, we dated for 2 years, and
Went to the ring. She went to my ring dance and my prom, and then I went away to college and
tell her
joined
what
the Air
happened.
Force.
tell her what happened before,
Well, we broke up. I broke up with her,
and broke my heart.
Oh.
but I broke up. But I was honest. I said that I really didn't feel like I was ready for a girlfriend, like committed relationship, and being gone away. So I just told her that.
I was heartbroken for a long time.
Okay, so when you say, and when you say that and you have this look and you're like, tell her what happened, when you say heartbroken for a long time, how long did it take you? I mean, clearly, it was meant to be for you guys to be together, but how long did it take you that first time to get over him?
I can't even remember. And I feel like I just had an I don't care attitude anymore. And it made me feel like I didn't want to attach myself to other people. And
It's okay. This is wow. So Kenneth, as Latarsha catches her breath here for a moment, the impact that you had on her, clearly, did you know how much she loved you and what she was going through while you were apart?
Oh, I didn't.
And why are you crying right now? I mean, of course, you've been through so much, but what is it that is bringing you to tears now?
I don't know. I mean, well, I can say that I didn't know that it hurt me that bad until after we got back together. And when we got back together, I told him that that it really hurt me, and I didn't realize until he came back into my life after 30 years. And I went to therapy, and she said, "You're still hurt." And I didn't know it. I didn't know that I was so angry with him. And I know we were young, but I did not realize that it affected me that bad.
So, and you were angry at him as he sits here, of course, and I know you both have shared so much of your journey, but angry that he was your way out during this abusive relationship. So, Kenneth, as you sit here and you hear Latarsha saying this right now, what are you thinking? What's going through your heart?
Sometimes I have guilt associated with that because I feel like I should have known.
We were kids, babe. We were kids.
Isn't it something though, like sometimes you don't know the impact of your first love. And truly that first love, like some people say, oh gosh, you met them when you were 14, you've got to experience life, you don't know. But sometimes that first love truly is your first love.
Yes.
Because both of you then went on to get into other relationships.
Right.
So what happened? Like how did you find each other again?
I was in the middle of writing my book called Breaking the Silence. And a friend of mine said, you need to reach out to Kenneth, your first boyfriend, so that for him to approve his name being in the book.
Oh my gosh. Okay, how long ago were you writing the book?
2015, 2015, 2016. That's when I started on the journey of trying to write it. And I told Kenneth, I reached out to him on Facebook, and I asked him, I said, hey, I have this nonprofit organization. I'm trying to write a book about my story and it's called Breaking the Silence. I said, I would love to use your name in my book. I said, can you sign a disclosure? And he said, sure, I would love to do anything to help. And I sent him a video of me breaking my silence and telling my story. It was on a show called Tell Your Story Tuesday. They asked me if they can interview me, and I said yes, and they did an interview. And so I sent it to Kenneth, and Kenneth,
Take
I
it from
sent him
there.
a video.
Oh, wow. So I was sitting at my desk in my office, and I opened the email, watched the video, and I just started crying.
You started crying?
That's the first time I found out about her abuse. It was Tell Your Story Tuesday, I believe was the name of it. Yes. So it was a video that she sent along with the email disclosure, and I was a train wreck. I had to go. I left work early that day, and I just went home and pretty much cried.
Because you had no idea until you saw that video. And then, you were single at this time then?
I was single, living in Atlanta, and just, had a corporate position. I'm just going day by day. I've been single for quite a few years up until that point.
And you were single too?
Yes.
And so, after learning of that, you gave permission.
Yes.
And did you?
Well,
clearly, you're married now. How did you guys go out on your first
Well,
date?
I told her that. I don't. You remember that we used to sit up and speak on the phone? Well, let me backtrack. Initially, because I know she would. Because initially, I had a. So when I say I was single, I wasn't married. I was dating someone, but it wasn't anything exclusive and we broke it off. I kind of broke it off because I knew that she was going to be my wife.
Oh my God, that's why I love the show. And I want to let the team know we're going to go a little longer on the first break before we go to the commercial break, because I want to, okay, so you broke it off because you knew that she was going to be your wife?
I knew she was going to be my wife, and I told her. So I left my job. I resigned from my job. I turned down a couple job offers.
You jumping.
Yeah, we don't like the Reader's Digest version on this show. We like the New York Times.
New York Times.
So you are, okay, when you say he's leaving a few things out, what do you mean exactly?
Because I remember I was in Las Vegas with one of my girlfriends. We were hanging out, and he called my phone, and he said, Tasha, because when I first reached out to him, I said, well, do you mind if I call this number back? Because if so,
Right, because you didn't know if he was married. You didn't know if he was in a relationship.
So I said, is it okay to call this number back? I said, or do you want me to email you? And he said, well, I prefer you to email me because I have a friend, and I don't want her to think that I'm cheating on her. And I said to myself, he's still a jerk.
She did.
He is still a jerk. I said, oh my goodness. So then he called me back at this time when I'm hanging out with my friends in New York, and I'm
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, I'm sorry, yes, Las Vegas, and we were having a lot of fun. And he called and said, yeah, I just want you to know that I broke that relationship off, so you can call my phone anytime. And I said, yeah, you want to call me now when I'm about to go on a date.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then what happened?
So when I got back home, we would stay, and even prior, like right after that, we would stay on the phone for hours. I mean, we would fall asleep on the phone talking to each other because he was living in Atlanta and I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. And we just really had a really good conversation all the time. And this went on for what?
A few months.
Yeah, and then he said, I'm coming to Baltimore to see you, and I would like to take you on a date. And so we went on a date, and since that night that we went on a date, we never stopped. I would go to Atlanta to visit him, and the next day I know, he said, I'm leaving my job. I'm coming to Baltimore. And I said, you coming to Baltimore? He said, yes. And when he came to Baltimore, he told me that I'm really coming to Baltimore to get my wife. I don't plan to stay here. He said, we can stay here for a year after we get married, and then we move into Florida. And we got married December 26th. We sold my house in Pennsylvania. We moved back to Maryland, and we stayed in Maryland for 1 year. July, we signed a lease for July, and on July the 1st of 2019, we were moving to Florida.
On that note, okay, stay with us. We're going to go to a break and find out what brought you guys to Florida. And I love the 2 weddings, December 26th, and there was another wedding in June. And you're going to find all those details out when we come back. Stay with us.
Thinking about getting engaged, planning to upgrade your wedding ring, or finally getting that Rolex?
The Golden Diamond Source can help you in many ways.
You can start a layaway plan for only 10% down and 6 monthly payments.
Take advantage of our 3 to 5 year interest-free financing.
Or you can trade in your old broken jewelry and use it towards a new purchase.
Come to the Golden Diamond Source and find that perfect gift for the ones that you love.
This month's Gems with Them birthstones make perfect gifts.
October has 2 spectacular birthstones to commemorate their birthdays, opal and tourmaline. Both have endless color combinations and beautiful coloring characteristics.
The lesser-known tourmaline has a rainbow of beautiful colors and can display up to 3 colors in a single gem.
Tourmaline is the 8th anniversary stone and opal is the 14th.
To learn more, visit our website or come see us at the Golden Diamond Source.
Welcome back to Love in America. All right, guys, before the break, we were talking about what brought you back to Florida. So what did bring you here?
Well, I was stationed at MacDill Air Force Base.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, thank you.
U.S. Air Force?
U.S. Air Force, retired. So, how many years ago was that? Like around 2000, like over 20 years ago. And I always realized that, I always kind of dreamt of coming back, and I knew that I wanted to retire and just lay down roots here.
And move to Florida. And okay, so during the commercial break, though, Latarsha, you were sharing. Tell us the story, though, about the engagement. So was this the engagement when he proposed?
No, was not the engagement, and I'll tell you about the engagement because that was really heartbreaking as well. Not heartbreaking, but it was heartfelt.
Oh.
You know, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went down to Atlanta to visit him, he took me to an outdoor concert. And when we went to the outdoor concert and I got to his house, he had a card there for me. And the card was just so touching. And I was reading the card, and then I looked up, and he had my favorite, because we would always talk on the phone all night long, and he learned all my favorites, and it was chocolate-covered strawberries. And I like Ciroc. It was, what flavor was that? I forgot. Because I don't drink it anymore now. But
what is Ciroc? Is it a liqueur?
A drink.
It's a
Yes.
okay.
Vodka.
Okay, it's a vodka.
Yes.
Okay.
And I really liked that, and he had that there, and he had this bag, this picnic bag, and he had all really good food in it that he knew I liked because I didn't eat any meat at the time. And he had packed a bag for us, and we went to the concert. I felt so taken care of. He was so attentive to my needs. He was so attentive to me, and he's a really good listener. And I was in awe, and I said, I want to marry this man.
And you did. Okay, so the engagement. Kenneth, talk to us about the engagement. How did you propose? And that ring, wowzer.
You talking about when we went to Hagerstown with Trace?
Yes.
So our son, the oldest, he's special needs. We went out to visit him, and we took, Autumn went with us, I believe.
Autumn and Mom.
And my mom. So they went out, and so I wanted to talk, I wanted to include Tracy in the whole, process.
So when you wanted to include the family in the process?
Right.
Okay.
And Tracy, at the time he was living in a facility in Hagerstown. He has special needs.
Yes.
So I wanted to include him in that. So I asked him if it was okay
To marry his mom.
to marry his mom.
Oh.
And then he saw the ring, and then tell him the rest.
So he opened the ring, and he said, and he kept, and my daughter was recording him, and my daughter was there too because he had already talked to my daughter. And he knows that my son has such a special place in my heart and my daughter, and he had them there and proposed to me, and he wanted to make sure he included Tracy.
So when Kenneth proposed, were you surprised? Were you shocked? Or did you know that it was coming?
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
But it was what you had dreamed about since you were really 14,
Yes.
right? So the wedding. December 26th. Why did you decide to get married on December 26th? And bring out the humor, Kenneth. Bring it out. Tell us what you said before the show.
The real reason?
Yeah, the real reason. It's okay. Let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Okay. You ready for this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My wife told me that there would be no fornication before marriage.
Wait a minute. Okay, this is not what we talked about before the show, but this is why I love the show. Unedited, unscripted. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she said,
There's no hanky
until we're
panky.
married. No hanky panky until we're married. Okay, so.
We slipped up a couple times. It was not going to continue at that point.
So you're like, let's get the show on the road?
I said, let's get the show on the road. She went and got the marriage license. Remember it?
Yes.
I was at work, and she went and got the marriage license, and they set the appointment, and we went to the courthouse to make it official, and then we had the ceremony, wedding ceremony, June 3rd.
Okay, so this is, I mean, seriously, again, I love because everything's unedited and scripted. I thought you were going to talk about, well, hey, it's really economically sound that it's around Christmas. You get like 2 things out of the way, but yes.
Yeah, that was part of it, but the real deal was the other part.
Well,
yes.
So the reason why we decided to do that, I was feeling convicted. As far as my spiritual walk with God, I did not want to continue to have sex and not be married. So, and I told Kenneth that, and he respected that, and he said, he really had a lot of respect for me for that, and we went, and if we would have celebrated our anniversary on December the 26th, that means he would have had to give me a birthday gift on December the 9th, a Christmas gift
on December the 25th,
and an anniversary gift.
All in the same month.
All in the same month. I'm with you. I'm with you. I would have.
So I didn't want to get slighted.
Yeah.
So we decided that we would celebrate our marriage on our wedding date, which was June the 3rd. And June the 3rd, we got married in Cabo San Lucas. At the, what is it, Ziva?
Hot damn.
Hyatt Ziva.
Wow.
Hyatt Ziva.
Ziva.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful.
So I can only imagine. And I have to say, like we've taped a few shows today, and I have this, thank goodness I saved this outfit for this show, because look at you. She's gorgeous.
She is.
Beautiful. All right, so guys, what would especially with, you were high school sweethearts, and then, 3 decades later, get reunited.
Yes.
What would your advice be to people who find love, especially at such a young age?
Help me to understand the question.
Yeah, I know, because it's confusing to me too. I'm like, I'm not even asking the question correctly. Okay, so let me rephrase the question. You always knew that you loved him.
Yes.
But you moved on through life, and you finally are now with Kenneth.
Yes.
Do you appreciate your love for him, would you say, more than ever?
I do. I know that back then, if the relationship had stayed, we wouldn't have been here now. No. Because I was just going through so much in my life at that time. And I know that whatever journey that God allowed me to go on, and I know Kenny had to go on his journey, but when he brought us back together, we are now, because our marriage is not perfect, and we love each other enough to want to fight for each other. And one thing that we try to do is we try not to go to bed angry, and we try to make sure that we communicate about an argument or something right away. We try not to let it linger for long periods of time and walking around the house and not talking to each other and stuff like that. Because a lot of times people do that, and it's emotional abuse. It really is. And so you have to make sure that you communicate and don't stay angry before you go to bed. And we did make a vow that we will not give up on the same day.
Well, that was the advice. Remember
that was the advice that our couple gave us, and we keep it.
And we asked them what the secret was. I think they had been married for 40 years.
Yes.
And they said never give up on the same day.
Never give up on the same day.
So we held on to
So
it.
we held on to that.
So no matter what happens,
We both can't give up on the same day. So if we want to throw in the towel, we both can't throw in the towel on the same day, or it won't work out to our benefit. And we also have to keep God first and Jesus Christ center of our life.
so that is very important to you, because I did, we were talking about it before the show. So God is also, as you said, very, very important in your journey.
Yes.
What advice would you give then? You've already given such great advice, so maybe to Kenneth I should turn to you. What advice would you give to men out there on treating the woman that they love? How to treat the woman that they love?
Listen, be patient, and just try to help them work through the emotions. That's the big part. Because it's not, I tell my wife all the time, it's not what's being said, it's how it's not what's being said, it's how it's being said. So for us men, we have to realize that. It's not, just think of the content, just think of what my wife is trying to relay to me.
Mm-hmm.
Take out the emotions and just stick to the meat, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And you know what else, guys? You are living proof that there is true love out there. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, even if it takes decades. Thank you so much for being on Love in America and sharing such an emotional journey. And I say to the audience, if you have a love story you'd like to share, if a business story, a community story, please reach out to us at production@redhousestreaming.com. We will get back to you. Also, if you want to share our stories we're on every social media website that you can imagine, and we're also on Roku with some major announcements coming in the fall. Again, Latarsha and Kenneth Haughton. Haughton, thank you again. What a beautiful story, and we so appreciate you opening up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Have a great week. Stay safe.
The Golden Diamond Source has been in business for nearly 4 decades and is one of the largest family-owned jewelry stores in America.
We have the largest selection of white and fancy colored diamonds and gemstones you'll find anywhere.
We also have private areas for VIP viewings.
Only at the Golden Diamond Source.
Hello everyone, I'm Serena Fazan of the Serena Fazan Network, brought to you by Red House Streaming. We are committed to helping those impacted by Hurricane Ian. You can see the unprecedented damage caused after Ian made landfall just short of a Category 5 storm. So many lost their lives. Thousands are without homes as a massive recovery mission is underway. We are teaming up with the Red Cross. Please join us in this rebuilding effort. It's as simple as scanning the QR code or following the link below. Stay safe.